I just saw an insane article falsely claiming that our new Pope Leo is going to be living a life of luxury, and it is way off, so let's talk about it. Hey guys, I'm Father David Michael Moses. I'm a Catholic priest. If you enjoy these types of videos, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. So the whole church is very, very excited. As I've talked to people at the parish and friends, everyone seems very, very optimistic and very, very hopeful about our new Pope Leo. We're really, really enthusiastic of what's happening in the church. But of course, people have to go out and say something negative, even at these hopeful times. And in this case, it's an article claiming that the Pope and our new Pope Leo will be living a life of luxury with all of these expensive things. But the claims it's making are totally off. So whether it's helpful for you or in conversation with your friends, let's go through and actually see why this is being totally misrepresented. So here's the article. The headline says, Pope Leo XIV's new life of luxury. Breathtaking clifftop retreat, bulletproof Mercedes, and $520,000 gold ring. Now, don't click away right now. Let's go through and explain exactly what's going on here. It says, it's the holy grail of bling. Pope Leo XIV will soon receive a massive gold ring, opulent papal apartments, and a lavish bulletproof car. A far cry from his humble missionary work and upbringing in suburban Chicago. You can even tell the tone there is like, oh, wow, you sure changed really fast. Totally unfair. When former Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost is inaugurated at a grand ceremony next week, he'll be bestowed with the Catholic Church's so-called fisherman's ring. They call it fisherman because Jesus told Peter he would become a fisher of men. Peter was the first pope, right? A hulking 24-karat gold band with a reported estimated value of $520,000. Total misrepresentation here. I did some research on this. If somebody has more information on this, please let me know. But from what I could find very clearly, that $520,000 value mark is not actually based on the materials being used or the cost of making the ring. I looked it up. Pope Francis's ring, Pope Benedict's ring, they said their estimated cost of $2,000 to $2,500. Way different than $520,000. I think they're getting this $500,000 number from saying that if the Pope were to auction off his own ring, the Pope's ring, that would go for way more than the actual value of the materials used for the ring were it on their own. Obviously, it'd be worth way more. That doesn't mean he should auction it off or that it's bad that he's wearing it. I bet the Pope's socks, if you auctioned them off, would go for a boatload of money. Does that mean the Pope should be giving away all of his socks because they have an estimated value of like thousands of dollars? No, of course not. Just because he has it and it's worth a lot because he has it doesn't mean it's a luxury that it's his. So that is just way, way, way off. I can't believe they would even say that. And I saw other articles quoting the same thing from other articles. I could not find anybody saying that it was worth that amount because of the materials used. It seems like it's just worth that much because it's the Pope's ring. Next, it says the man of God will then, and even the way it's saying it, the man of God, right? I thought he should be simple. Crazy. The man of God will then be given access to luxurious papal apartments at Rome's Apostolic Palace and a cliffside retreat at the Palace of Castle Gandolfo, a 130-acre complex with breathtaking views of Lake Albano on the outskirts of Rome, though he has not yet said where he plans to live. Okay, here's the deal with this. There's a papal palace, they call it that, but the rooms inside are actually very, very modest. And what happened is Pope Francis, because it seemed like he wanted to be with more people because the papal apartments are kind of isolated, chose to live in kind of like the Vatican Hotel, sort of, which apparently is actually newer than the papal palace was. And if you looked at Pope Francis' room, it was very, very modest in that kind of papal hotel. But if you looked at Pope Benedict's room as well, maybe we can get pictures on the screen. Pope Benedict's room as well in the papal palace was also very, very simple. So whether you call it the papal palace, the papal apartments, or the papal hotel, they're staying in very, very simple rooms. So to call it super luxurious is a huge misrepresentation. Then says he's also expected to inherit an electric white Mercedes-Benz Pope-mobile that was built last year and is bulletproof with an estimated value of $500,000. Here's the thing, that estimated value thing again, the Vatican didn't go buy the Pope-mobile. There's a whole history of popes needing vehicles to get around, obviously. But those vehicles, guess what? They get donated. Companies are proud to have the Pope repping their brand, so they donate the vehicles. The Vatican is not going out car shopping and they want the $500,000 Mercedes-Benz. That's not what's happening, but that seems to be the implication of this article. Also, they say it bulletproof, like it's like an unnecessary luxury. John Paul II got shot when he was out in Peter's Square visiting with people. He got shot, almost died. So yeah, I would want, as a Catholic, for the Pope Mobile to have bulletproof glass in it. Absolutely. But again, it's all being donated. In fact, Pope Francis at one point actually donated the Pope Mobile to Gaza to be part of a children's hospital, to be like an ambulance for children. And guess what happened? It seems like Mercedes-Benz just gave him a new one. So if anything, that goodwill is being used very much for charity. And it's good for companies to do something good in the world. And to provide the Pope, the Vicar of Christ, so he can visit with people, a safe vehicle, is a way better thing for a lot of these huge companies to be doing with their money than what they probably would do otherwise. And then, of course, it says, Pope Leo is known as an advocate for the poor who did tireless missionary work with impoverished farmers in rural Peru and grew up in a modest home in the working class suburbs of Chicago. It's saying all that as though it's like it's a reason to not trust what he's doing now. I would say the opposite. The fact that he worked with the poor so much is a reason to trust his judgment on some of these papal things, because he clearly has a love for the poor. He has spent years and years of his life doing missionary work in impoverished communities. So I think he has a better sense of how to navigate these things than we do from a distance, telling him what he should wear, what he should drive, all these different things. Then it says his predecessor, Pope Francis, who died last month at the age of 88, opted to live frugally at the Casa Santa Marta guest house in Vatican City rather than the lavish papal apartments. These guys seem to get along very, very well, Pope Francis and then Cardinal Prevost. It's weird to try to pit them against each other. Pope Francis selected him to be the head of the dicastery of bishops. He obviously trusted him a lot with what he did. So to act like their decisions are in some way like in conflict with one another doesn't really make any sense. Then it says Pope Leo has hinted that he'll continue Francis' legacy, but would easily be able to indulge in the upscale real estate. It's like they're trying to tempt him with it. Like, you could easily indulge if you want. Just crazy stuff. I mean, Jesus talked about these things. Some people say like, oh, you should just sell all the Vatican stuff and they should get rid of all the art and everything like that. Jesus addressed this actually in scripture. There was a woman, I saw somebody say this the other day, a woman came to him and washed his feet with this really expensive oil. And Judas, the one who was going to betray Jesus, said, wow, this oil could have been sold to feed the poor. And then scripture actually tells us why he said that, because he used to actually steal money from the money bag. Seems like he wanted the money for himself. But Jesus says, no, Judas. Like, the poor will always be with you. I won't be. And Jesus was like the biggest advocate for the poor in the history of the world, quite literally. It's Jesus Christ. He clearly cares so much about the poor. But he thought there was a place at times to use resources for beauty, to bring him honor, to bring him glory. And that's the hope when you build a beautiful church, you paint a beautiful depiction of Christ, of his mother, of the Holy Family, that these things in the church are worth what they cost. Like, there is a place for that. And not to mention the Catholic Church is the most charitable organization in the entire world. The Catholic Church does more charity than any organization in the entire world. But all this stuff in this article isn't even the church spending money on things. This is really being misrepresented. So hope that's helpful. So I'm kind of fired up by that stuff, but I just want the right information to be out there, okay? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Other stuff you think might be helpful to react to. And we will see you in the next one. Keep praying for our Pope Leo. God bless.